They are monsters that kill out of hunger. They are creatures driven by curses. They are vampires who play with humans like prey. But the Leshen is different. It does not hunt for pleasure. It does not feed on people like a predator. The Leshen protects the forest, an ancient being that lives far from villages and roads, a creature that hates human presence so deeply that it seemed to view humanity itself as a disease. In the world of the Witcher, the Leshen is one of the most atmospheric and terrifying monsters, because it does not feel like an animal, not even like a monster, but like the forest itself decided to kill. And today we will explore what Leshens are, where they came from, how they hunt, why they are considered so extremely dangerous, and how anyone can possibly kill something that controls an entire forest. Leshen belongs to the relic class. Relics are ancient beings that existed long before humans began settling the continent. And that detail matters, because many monsters in the Witcher universe appeared after the conjunction of the spheres. But relics feel far older, as if they always belonged to this world. Visually, a Leshen looks like a fusion of a human, a deer, a tree, and something ancient and inhuman. A tall body, long limbs, a skull crowned with massive antlers, skin that resembles bark. But the most disturbing part is the eyes. In many depictions they are barely visible, as if the Leshen is not truly alive in the normal sense, but part of the forest itself. That is why encounters with Leshens are so unsettling. You do not feel like you encountered a monster, you feel like the forest itself hates you. The Leshen is directly inspired by Slavic mythology. In folklore, a Leshen is a forest spirit. It leads travelers astray, twists paths, mimics voices, lures people deep into the woods, protects animals and the forest. In The Witcher, the Leshen is no longer just a spirit. It is an ancient relic and predator. But the mythological roots are still easy to recognize. For example, its connection to the forest, control over animals, hatred of human intrusion, the ability to literally disappear among the trees. That is exactly why the Leshen feels so natural in the Witcher universe. It does not look like a typical fantasy monster, it looks like something pulled from ancient legends. Leshen avoid civilization. Their territories include ancient forests, swamps, dense woods, forgotten trails, especially places where humans rarely go. But when people begin cutting down forests, hunting too aggressively, building settlements, the Leshen becomes hostile. And there is an important detail. A Leshen rarely attacks immediately. First, the forest itself seems to change. People disappear. Animals begin behaving strangely. You start feeling like something is watching you. Only then does the hunt begin. The Leshen is one of the most dangerous relics in the Witcher world. It does not charge at prey like a ghoul or a drowner. It controls its territory and uses the force itself as a weapon. A Leshen can command wolves, ravens, sometimes even an entire pack of beasts. In practice, the force itself begins working against humans. And this is one of the most terrifying things about it, because a witcher is not fighting only a monster, he is fighting the environment itself. On top of that, a Leshen can seemingly vanish among the trees and reappear elsewhere. It makes combat extremely dangerous, especially at night. In some stories, the Leshen marks its victims. After that, people begin to lose their way, hear strange sounds, see silhouettes between the trees, slowly lose their mind from fear. And that is when the real psychological hunt begins. A Leshen often does not attack immediately. It wears its victim down, terrifies them, pushes them into panic, and only then it kills. Despite its mystical nature, the Leshen is incredibly strong physically. It can easily break bones, pierce a human with its claws, kill with a single strike. Its body is covered in something resembling a tree bark. Because of this, ordinary weapons is barely effective. That is why peasants almost never stand a chance. For an ordinary human, encountering a Leshen is practically a death sentence. But how do you kill a creature that controls the forest itself? Like most relics, the Leshen is vulnerable to silver. That makes the silver sword a witcher's primary weapon. But without preparation, a fight against Leshen can drag on far too long, and a long battle against Leshen is almost always a terrible idea. Fire is one of the best tools against a Leshen. The biggest mistake is fighting on its own territory for too long. Because the forest limits visibility, the monster disappears among the trees, wolves appear, a panic begins to set in. A witcher must keep moving, never lose sight of the monster, close the distance quickly, use fire and signs effectively. Most monsters in The Witcher are simply creatures. A Leshen feels more like a force of nature. It is ancient, patient, almost emotionless. It does not need hatred. To the Leshen, humans are merely intruders trespassing to the forest. And that is exactly what makes it so terrifying, because you can't negotiate to the forest. There are monsters in The Witcher stronger than the Leshen. There are creatures faster, smarter, deadlier, but very few creatures the same feeling of ancient dread, because the Leshen is not just a monster, it is the forest itself choosing to fight back. And if one day, deep in the woods, you think you see someone standing between the trees, the forest may already noticed you.